So, good day, all. It is Erudito Podcast, and me, your lovely host, Rapolas. And this amazing day, we also have an amazing person here, and here she is. She's English teacher in Erudito. She is multilingual. She is studying, I guess, currently politics, and let's give a big round of applause, Nino Bichiasvili. Hello.
Thank you. Hi, Rapolas. I'm really, really happy to be here. I support your work. I support your idea. And this day is very special to me as well because I get to share my story of being at Erudito as well.
Awesome.
So,
So, how are you?
ready for the questions. I'm good. I'm trying to stay positive. I'm trying to stay positive for my kids as well because they kind of reflect our emotions,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
whatever the vibes and energy you bring to the class, they kind of get the same. So it really matters. I don't know. I may be upset sometimes, but then the moment I speak with my kids and I have lesson, it's just like makes my day and makes me happy. And that makes me feel that I'm happy with with what I'm doing in my life as well. So yeah, that's that. How about you?
I'm actually pretty good. Just lots to do, but and also COVID is still hitting, but overall, it's not that bad. Okay, and firstly, like before our podcast, before we chatted with you a little, and you mentioned that you're like super extra mega shy in front of cameras. Now, is teaching easier and you don't feel so shy while you're like studying in front of students? Teaching in front of students?
Yeah, that's the thing. Actually, I have also presented in a lot of conferences. I've presented in front of more than 100, people, and I go into classes with 20 kids, and I teach, but I feel as if this is like my bubble. And as
Yeah,
long as I connect with every single student of mine as well, uh, like this connection and this positivity gives me this idea that I'll be myself, I'll be sincere, I'll be as honest as I can, and I'll give my best to these kids that I'm teaching.
yeah,
So as long as I'm in my bubble, I know that this is a comfortable bubble, and that just makes me feel pretty relaxed. So as long as not like you've been my student as well, and I got an opportunity to be with you and be part of this education process, then also that also made me pretty comfortable. So I'm really, really happy to be here all in all.
awesome. And yeah, I'm happy to actually. And I guess, as you know, I don't know how many episodes you have heard and listened to, but in the beginning we talk a little about childhood, about your time at school, and so on. So I guess we can start from the beginning, and now as you like, how did your time at school look like as a student? Like, was it fun? Was it, you know, bad memories? Or did you even like the school?
Okay. So the thing is, I started working at Erudito, I think 3 years ago. And obviously, that time I was a student as well. But even before I became a student, I was traveling a lot and I was volunteering at different schools in Greece and in Spain. And I tried my best to see if I really liked it or not, because I was studying politics and I was thinking, but I'm really interested in education too, and I want to do so much.
Yeah.
And somehow I want to do both in my life and be like perfect at it. So I experienced being a TA in Spain and in Greece, and then I came to Lithuania, and then I was thinking I'm so gonna continue this. So then this offer at Erudito and everything, and I started, and I was pretty young that time. I had experience. I was trying to get as many certificates as I can and like be qualified to do my job and be confident. And even if I was qualified, my confidence was a bit like kind of shifting and fluctuating a bit because it was a lot of children. I had more experience with tutoring, so one to one, but then I went to a room with 20 kids or like even more than 20 kids, and In the beginning it was pretty difficult, but the only difficult part was the first week, just for me to get to know
Yeah.
my kids. And the moment I understood that they all have such beautiful souls, and the moment I understood that they can motivate you so much, and it's not like you are giving, like every time I have a lesson, I my kids also give me so much as well. It can even be something not material, obviously. It can even be this vibes and energy and everything. But it's just like you do something and you get a lot in return as well. So even this happy faces when you enter the class, and it's not like, oh, English, but it's like, oh, yay, English. Like it's going to be something fun. So the moment I started realizing that I can actually give a lot to these kids and be a guardian, be a coordinator, like help them out emotionally as well, like stress with school
Yeah.
and so many other things. That got me thinking that everything is worth it and all of my efforts and everything is really worth it. And I didn't have to be nervous at all. So I integrated myself pretty well because there were some internationals around and it was easy to integrate. A bit difficult with Lithuanian teachers because it was something really new for the
Yeah.
school. We were the first internationals. It was a bit difficult, but then everybody started accepting us and we started learning a lot from each other. And up to this point, we try to, take this knowledge to Vilnius campus and from Vilnius take it to Kaunas campus. So it's like this continuum that I'm still engaged in. And I'm very happy and I don't plan to leave this school for at least few more years because kids
Yeah.
like this children. It's just so much happening that I would love to stay. So yeah, it has fluctuated a lot, good times, bad times, but still the motivation and the will to be in this field keeps me going all the time.
So you're like feeling as a student also, not just as a teacher.
Yeah, exactly. All the time. Sometimes my kids, you guys as well, when I was teaching you, sometimes you would come up to me and tell me something that you've read about or send me some kind of research or some videos to watch. And it's like kind of giving and taking as well. Or sometimes my fifth grader once told me something. I don't so yeah, once my fifth grader gave me a painting and it was like two seasons. It was spring and like a crazy winter, And she came to me and she told me, "Teacher, I have noticed that you are like either super positive and you're like so good with us, but then if we misbehave, you become strict like this, you
Yeah.
know." Because my mood can change like this. You know me, I'm not such a strict teacher, but of course I have my boundaries, right? And she was like, sometimes, most of the times you're like summer, but then you become winter like this. So I was like, wow, that got me thinking that I may actually be a very radical person in few things,
Yeah.
So they can make you think about things that you would never even think you would think at this age. So yeah, that's amazing. That's just so cool.
So, but why, for example, why did you start to teach children, Because why did you start to teach children?
The main idea for me was the education that I was given. I went to a private school when in 11th and 12th grade, but before I went to a public school. And the experience there was, mm, not so positive. And the thing is, I've always been interested in psychology and children's psychology. And I understood how much teachers, even one single word you tell your student, how much it may affect them. And sometimes you may not even know
Yeah.
what aspect of their life is affected by every single word, you tell them. So we had teachers who were sometimes even like throwing chairs at us because we were like what 40 people. So the education system in Georgia was definitely not effective.
Hmm.
So that got me thinking, I'm going to go ahead and travel. I'm going to do my politics because my interest. I'm going to do education because now I'm starting my master's in education management and linguistics. And I'll experience all of that. I'll see how education looks all over the world. And then I'm going to take all of that back to my country and then try to
Change it.
have a change, try to change something, because we've have this beautiful, talented, intelligent, amazing kids currently growing up in Georgia, but their environment is not appropriate for them. We don't have psychologists at school. We don't. They don't think about the mental well-being of the students. They don't think about the fact that they really need to engage physically. Um, like physical work, as you guys have as well. On our physical education, all we did was like sit and talk, you know?
Okay.
So, it's like I want to change something in a way that it can have a long lasting effect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I started with something very small, started from this job of mine in Lithuania, and I'm going to extend it up to my master's, up to my PhD. And then after I finish my PhD, I'm going to go back and change things
Okay.
that need to be changed.
And you mentioned your school. Now, what kind of person you were back then there?
Hmm.
Like more like who is always first in the class and always knows the answer, or more like that bad girl, like villain who is like breaking, I don't know, breaking rules and so on.
I was both. Okay, let me
Okay.
tell you. But honestly, I was really both. Didn't really break any rules, but I was a bit naughty in my own ways. So I was pretty introverted, but those extroverts who are actually introverted, but they're covering the fact that they're introverted by the fact that they're extroverted. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I
Okay.
yeah, it was a bit too much, but it was just like me being a bit, on both sides of the world. But because I was introverted because of the pressure we had at school from everybody. There was no positivity around. Everybody was angry. Everybody was shouting. Everybody was just like, 10 pages, learn in an hour, and then tell me everything by heart. Like that was the post-Soviet system. So I was rebellious. I was
Okay.
like, no, things shouldn't be done this way. That's my opinion. So I was going to the principal, I was talking to teachers, I was doing so much. So even when I was like 14, 13, I was trying to change something. And that made me realize that since I was very young, I was pretty aimed. I knew what I wanted. In 11th grade, I got my acceptance at the Lithuanian university because I was like, even if I love my country, I'm not staying here right now. I'm going to get away, but then come back. So I was very aimed. I was very communicative with um, everybody in the class because I wanted to keep them all together so that, kind of give them the idea that together we can have a bigger change.
Yeah.
So I was, always trying to keep them together. I was also a bit naughty with these rebellious things that I had, but then at the same time, I was very active in the class. I knew everything that was coming up. I used to study in advance, like history, literature, and I had this teacher, and he's the inspiration of me as a teacher till today because everything I do is very similar to what he did actually. So every single week, he would give me a book that he read that he thought would be appropriate for me, and it was always from Gothic literature, so very dark side of
Okay.
literature, Frankenstein and all of those. So every week he would just like put this book in front of me and he was like, you have 1 week to read this, because if you're not going to finish this in 1 week, you're going to be stuck in the middle and you're not going to like the feeling. And he was like, I need this book back exactly in a week. So I had to stay at least like 3-4 hours a day and read this until the end. And then he would tell me, let's go for like lunch break. So we would sit somewhere near the school and he would be like, tell me your opinion, tell me what is like, what did it spark something new in your head? Like he would ask me so many questions, and it turned me into such an open-minded person and such a how to say, the least judgmental I could ever be.
Yeah.
He kind of cared about me as an individual, as somebody who had a potential to do something in future. So this got me into reading a lot of books and learning a lot more about the world and not being in like such a small bubble in my own country. So that's why I'm saying teachers can affect you guys so much, and they can literally point out the things that you may not be able to see, but maybe your talent, and then it's going to make you think like, yeah, actually that may be true, and you may get so successful at that. So it's this whole chain of psychology that works with education.
Do you have like what do you miss the most from the school?
That's such a difficult question. My private school years, I missed the most, 11th and 12th grade,
Yeah.
because I knew I was accepted at at this university in Kaunas, and I knew that I didn't have to pass any exams. So what I did is I passed them just for fun. So I got accepted at at my dream university in Georgia as well. But I never went there because I came here. So I just did it for fun because I was thinking if they are preparing so much and they want to go, and just for me it's just like for the sake of it, I can
Yeah.
still do it. Can I was kind of like testing myself, so I did, and I got accepted, and I was very happy. So I miss 11th and 12th grade because it was so chill. I was just doing whatever I wanted. I was studying a lot, and I was doing a lot of extra things outside of and I was tutoring that time as well.
Yeah.
So it was definitely 11th and 12th grade.
Okay.
So now you're having such like golden years, with the school.
I hope so, you know. Now it doesn't seem so. I mean, I hope so. They will look in the future very good.
So yeah.
Okay, I guess we can go on, and now we can talk a little more actually about your, I mean, about teacher's job. And do you now like do you like to be a teacher?
I love it every single day of it.
And is teaching being like is teaching being teacher being an interesting profession? Like to be a teacher?
It's what you make it, You can be a teacher and lead a very boring life. Like,
Yeah.
oh God, such a boring life, Like have this lessons planned and do every single day the same thing with all the classes yearly, Or you can choose to like, have this innovation, be a bit more innovative, and try to come up with things that you think your kids would love so much, and at the same time they would learn. So it's like teaching is doing something new every single day and trying something out every single day with your children as well. And it also requires so much research before you come up with this 1 hour and a half plan, because I'm such a perfectionist that it may take me even sometimes 2 hours to plan a lesson, and sometimes it may take me like 15, or sometimes I may even do it in my head and get home and just note it down and done,
Yeah.
you know? So, and at the same time, it's like I'm doing so much more in my life. Like everything with the languages that I'm in love with so much. I'm also working at the Sakharov Research Center. It's a think tank, an NGO, and I'm still following my political science lifeline, and a lot more that I'm doing that I'm very happy about,
Yeah.
So being a teacher is really what you make it, you
Okay.
know.
And what did you learn like the most from being a teacher?
Um, to be patient. I learned patience a lot because I was one of the most impatient people I ever knew. And my kids made me so patient because if they ask me a question 5 times, I can explain it 5 times in all the different ways, and I will never mind it. So patience was one thing that I learned. Also, um, I started appreciating all the teachers around the world and all the lectures because of the amount of time it takes us. We finish work at 5 every day, and then up until 12 or 11, we may sit, check works, give reflections, give feedback. So it's not something you just do part of the day and then you're okay, now I have time for anything. No, it's not like that. So it taught me that I need to have way greater appreciation of teachers, and I shouldn't judge anybody in the world whatsoever and any teacher at what they're doing. And yeah, it turned me into a less judgmental, that I was never, honestly, but it gave me
Yeah.
kind of this feeling. And yeah, more patient, definitely, 100%.
I mean, about that teachers, respect. I really also respect. I mean, all teachers, because I guess it's very important to understand, especially and for students, that teachers are like super important actually, But I guess it's also it depends like on what kind of respect get from a teacher also. So it's like, 101.
Exactly. It's really, really connected to each other like a mirror.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, even the smallest like appreciation notes that we get, or even like words of like students even thanking us at the end of the lesson, even those tiny things matter for teachers like a lot, and it can just make your day. Even one thank you at the end, like you do this all the time. You always thank teachers at the end of the class, and this shows your manners, this shows your appreciation. Even if it's two words, it really shows a lot. So words have crazy power.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess we can now go to Lithuania, you know. By the way, how long are you in Lithuania now?
Fifth year.
Okay, so that's quite a long time. Now, and the main, the main and the most interesting question for me, why Lithuania? Like, you could
Yeah.
choose any country you wanted, like any, where it's, nice weather, where there is like nice people, I don't know, even better universities. Why did you come to Lithuania?
Okay. So we need to consider that I was kind of 18 or 19 when I first came here. So I was very, very young. And that time, nobody went anywhere from Georgia. All of my friends and everybody were staying in Georgia, and they were like, we're settled here. We don't want to go anywhere. And I was like, what are you even telling me?
Yeah.
So at school, I was absent from school one day, and my history teacher started calling me like crazy. And she was like, listen, listen, listen. There's these people, the students studying in Kaunas in Lithuania who came here and they spread awareness about about this university in Kaunas. And then I looked through, then heard a lot that Lithuania and Georgia and Lithuania, that we are so like culturally close with each other, and also politically and economically and historically, and we share the same enemies and stuff like that. It's just like so much that you hear about Lithuanian people. And then I checked some photos. I found photos of Laisvės alėja and Vilnius and so many other places. And I was thinking, like, wait, should I actually apply and try this? I didn't even know what an application was for university that time. Like, I was not as advanced as you guys are right now, honestly. But then I did it. It was the closest opportunity I knew. And then I got an email that I got a full scholarship because my grades were so good. And I was thinking, I'm 18. I want to go to Europe. Lithuania is so loved by Georgians. This university has so many like Erasmus exchange and so much more that it can offer. And I was thinking, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do it. If I'm not going to like it, I'll get back. 5 years later. Look at me now. So that was the story.
So as I can understand, you like it here. Yeah.
Um, okay, so it was a bit difficult in the beginning, but on the second year, I started loving this place and it became my second home because it brings me peace. First of all, my city that I come from, it's the capital in Georgia and it's crazy city. It can take you 1 hour to go from one center to another center. And it's just like a huge city. And I am very connected to nature. And in Kaunas, you know it's super green. We have a lot of like forests around and so many places to go to picnic, and the air is fresh as well. And this was one of the things that made me fall in love with the city because of the quiet of it. Some people enjoy it, some people hate it. I'm one of those people who can enjoy both, but as a living and settling down, I would prefer to be in such a calm place where you don't even need to take a bus sometimes. You can walk everywhere. Everything is in one space and accessible. And it's just like I feel really free here and really independent. And um, everything else. But it gets difficult sometimes with the weather and everything else. Because Georgia is so warm all the time. It's
Uh-huh.
warm, you know, and we have so many colors and mountains. We have this saying in Georgia that wherever you stand, you will see a mountain. And that's actually true. And I've tested it a few times. Like wherever on the territory that you stand, you look somewhere, you will see on the horizon that there is
Yeah.
like this mountain, you know. So the lack of mountains in good weather and colors and positivity around sometimes gets me down, but then I have a lot more that fulfills my life.
Okay.
So
So
that's that.
what's different than in Georgia? That there is. I mean, why is it isn't so, I don't know, fresh, or doesn't have fresh air, or isn't so small. Like is it big country, like as you know?
Lis- Georgia is a bit bigger than Lithuania, a bit bigger. But okay, well, just a moment. I will quickly take a picture.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so it's a bit bigger than than Lithuania, and also it's different because people are a bit happier there, you know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
like they love to communicate, they love to see new people, they say hi to everybody. Like you may be just walking around and everybody will be like, hello, 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 like trying to talk to you. And it's so much communication going on that then here when I came here first and I was like, wow, nobody's really speaking to each other. They don't even speak to each other on the bus and they're quiet. So I had a lot of cultural shock. And mostly it was people seeming a bit unhappy in my eyes. But then when you get to know them, I have so many Lithuanian friends now who are crazy cool. They're the coolest people I know of. But first, they seemed pretty unapproachable, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
I'm minding my own business, you mind your own business, you know. But if they start loving you, they will be a good friend to you,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
true. I guess everybody wants to show their very nice side, and that they're quite cool.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So was
So,
it
mhm.
what? So was it like that cultural shock was the biggest, or which? What did you shock in Lithuania the most?
Food. So one of the first things was food. We Georgians like to mix a lot of things with each other and turn it into a very salty, flavory dish. And here, everything is a bit different. It's like either like a lot of potatoes that I appreciate. I'm a potato lover. And either a lot of potatoes, a lot of meat that I'm vegetarian, you know that, or just like simple things in one on one plate, maybe puree and something like chicken or something or salad on the side. But what we Georgians do is where we like mix a lot and a lot of herbs and spices and so much more. So this was my first shock that food was super, super different from my country. Then the landscape was also a shock, but not a cultural one, obviously, a geographical
Yeah.
a shock, you could say. But out of the cultural shock, it was people not having eye contact with each other at all, or, for example, mm, being also a bit unapproachable until you get to know them. And what else? And also this idea of people following what government says so much, you know, people like praising the government and being whatever they say is the ultimate truth. In Georgia, we protest weekly, daily, hourly, like all the time.
Okay.
We don't like something, we're just like gathering everybody and we protest. This is what we do for life, right? And I came here and I was like, this may be protested easily, this may be protested easily, like so many things, there's so many ideas to protest
Yeah.
about, but people decide to, take care of their lives and be in their bubble and not really think about the like long-term well-being of the country. Of course, not everybody, but most of the people, they're more centered over their life rather than something a bit extended, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
something other than that. So that was also one of the cultural shocks. But yeah, that's that, I guess.
And what is the most interesting thing for you, like, in a good way?
About Lithuania,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that you guys don't have good weather, but you are such an such outgoing people. This is something that I love about Lithuania so much and amazes me. That your physique is like, most of you guys are tall and like you like to work out, and I see everybody running outside all the time. Maybe it's part of European culture, but I see this in Lithuania a lot. And then when I go to parks and when it's sunny outside, everybody is out doing different sports. And you guys love, like, Georgians couldn't care less, like, honestly. And I see a lot of people just being outside, and this fact that the weather doesn't support their, wishes, it just makes me so sad sometimes. But I find this fact to be hilarious, honestly. But it amuses me in a good way, because we are not like this.
Yeah.
Really, we're not like that. Maximum we're gonna do is we're gonna ride the horses in the mountains. That's the maximum. But
Okay.
we're good at rugby, though. That is something I should say, in basketball, too, as well, but not so better than you guys are, definitely. But yeah, that's one thing I really love about Lithuanians.
Okay. Awesome. Actually, it's very nice, to hear those things as from the foreigner, So it's very interesting. Again, I guess we can jump to our actually last section, which is about languages, because I know that you are known for, knowing a lot of different languages. And there is I have, wrote, just found one quote that language is the key to a person's sense of freedom. And, like languages are opening a lot of paths, in the world, I believe. Firstly, how many of them do you know?
Approximately six, but some I know fluently and some I'm still currently studying because they're super difficult.
Yeah.
But I would be able to have a simple conversation. So it would be six.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, how did you become to know them? Like, how did you learn them?
Because I'm a crazy traveler. I travel so much, and it's just something that makes me the happiest. So I had my Erasmus in Spain, and the moment I arrived, I registered for the, like, Spanish courses. And I since I was a child, I had this feeling with, because my first language was actually kind of English, and then it was Georgian. I started everything. I started everything in English, and no, I have no clue till this point why, but only after that I started mastering, like, Georgian, my own language. So since I was very young, I had this feeling of being, like, related to languages. I know it sounds like very odd, but it was just like the moment I heard about Spanish, I was like, wait, I can actually learn this language if I try to, and I can actually, like, get the same accent, and I can be good at this. So I felt some kind of connection with the language. I understand how odd this sounds, but it's just how I felt. So the moment I went to Spain, I registered for the courses, and I learned it. I practiced it. I did everything so that I could start speaking. Then it was Greece. That I always go to Greece at least like 3 4 times, because I have some side of my family from there, like there. So it's their influence that I started, learning Greek as well. Then it was German, because I finished German school. So I want or not, I had to learn German.
Yeah.
And obviously it's Georgian, it's Russian because we're post-Soviet, and then it's English. So seven. I'm also doing Arabic. I have A2 in Arabic, and I'm currently continuing it because it's the language that I enjoy writing the most. I can sit for hours and just, like, write different words because it's just so beautiful to write and read in Arabic. It just, makes me so happy too. So it's seven.
That's amazing, Wow. That's good. Okay. And
Actually, one more note. The reason why I started, where, like, from where my interest to languages came from, was my grandma, actually, because since I was very young, she told me the more languages you speak, the more, like, people you are, or something. I don't
yeah.
even know how to translate it, but if you speak seven languages, you're seven different people.
Yeah.
So she told me that, and I was like, wait, as long as I'm like very open-minded and I think in like international context about so many things, it would be so cool to learn about like at least like 7, 8 languages. So you see, one sentence she told me, and it got me to the point where I'm trying my best to be fluent at those languages. So
Okay.
why I'm saying all of those things matter so much.
Yeah. And did it help you in life, like already? Or, I mean, do you use them? You know?
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Russian helped me a lot in with Lithuania because some even people don't really enjoy speaking in Russian. They it still helps you in certain situations. I've got lost a few times in Kaunas because I took a wrong bus. So sometimes it was easy to imagine getting lost in Kaunas. That's the most hilarious thing you can ever do as a human. So that happened. So like Russian helped me with that. English, obviously, Georgian, obviously, but Spanish all the time because we have actually a lot of exchange students here in Lithuania. So every time I try to talk to them and practice as much as I can. But if I wanted to apply to like certain jobs, it would definitely help me. But as long as now I'm very happy with what I'm doing in my life, I don't really have to use that.
Yeah.
But if I had to, it definitely gives you some kind of plus.
Okay. And lastly, do you have any tips how to learn any language?
Connection. So let me tell you, it really matters. I'm serious. So first, you really need to understand which language strikes the most interest in you. You shouldn't force yourself to study any language whatsoever. You have all of those choices, and even if it's something that is not spoken widely, but you connect with this language and you're like, wait, I can actually do such a great job at this. So it starts from you kind of uh, allowing yourself to feel that, oh, I'm very connected with this language and I can do my best to actually achieve it, and this is something I really really want you
Hmm.
know because every time you sit down to do something, it should give you some kind of intellectual pleasure. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if you do that, it means that this is the language you should go for. So the first step is something that will get you to the point where you're going to be fluent at the language. So
Okay. So, I mean, thank you. I hope it will help others, to start and to learn a new.
understand what I mean because I speak with so many metaphors all the time. If they understand what I mean, then they will definitely use it.
So I guess we'll finish here. And do you want anything to add?
No, I think I can say that I enjoyed it a lot. As I told you, I'm always the listener, and this was my opportunity to also like share my story, and I don't do it quite often. And yeah, I really really enjoyed talking to you,
It
and I
wasn't
want to
that
wish
bad, huh?
you amazing, Rapolas. I know how successful you're gonna be in your life, and I'm gonna be happy that I was a teeny tiny part of it, of teaching you for like one semester. So yeah, I know that you're going to do great things in future.
I hope so.
You're
Okay.
already doing it by
Sorry.
this idea of yours. I said you're already kind of doing it and contributing to some kind of idea at this age by this project that you have. So it's already a really, really good start.
Trying to do my best. Just okay.
So
So thank you actually, and for listening, and thank you for subscribing, all subscribers and listeners. And you can find all the recordings and videos and now in separate like platforms such as YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and even Google Podcasts. And that was it. Here we're Erudito Podcast with Nino and me, your lovely host, Rapolas. See you next time.
bye. Thank you, Rapola.